Hey, everybody, and welcome to another Make Peace with Life podcast. I'm Rob Alex, and I'm here for you today. We've got a great show planned, lots of information. So I'm hoping this one doesn't run too far over, but I just had to do a different entry. So to spice things up a little bit. But our first topic is something that's very serious. As serious as I can be as far as that go. And we're talking about mental health. Such a problem nowadays. And I'm just going to go into some things and talk about mental health because I think there's such a stigma around it, like there's something wrong with the person, something's going wrong. So when is the last time you've had a mental health checkup? When is the last time you've done a checkup, either with yourself, with a friend, with a doctor, with a professional, and just really dove into your mental health? Because there are so many things in our world today that can affect our mental health, and it's vitally important that we get the help that we need. You know, we will check up on our physical health. We'll go to the doctor and get a checkup on our physical health, make sure our heart's beating okay, all that stuff. We will check on our bank accounts. We'll make sure our finances are in order. Nothing's out of the ordinary there. We'll even go and have regular routine checkups on our car to make sure they run perfectly and run right. But yet we don't do this on our mental health. And everybody has mental health. Good, bad, whatever it is, everybody has mental health. And it's not something that you need to shy away from. We need to get through the stigma, over the stigma of there's something wrong with somebody if they have a mental health issue. It can be something slight. It can be something minute. It can be something very large. It can be something that's out in the open. It can be something that they've tucked away inside them. So please, help everybody that you can that might have some mental health issues as far as we're going into that. Now let's talk for a minute about stress versus mental health. So a lot of people combine those and say they're the same thing. You have stress, you have mental health problems, things like they're not the same thing. Stress is usually a very shorter period of time, like you have a deadline for a project you're working on, or you have a school assignment that you have to get done. And those are over relatively quickly. Yes, they're still important. Yes, they still cause strife in our life, but they're over relatively quickly. Mental health is something that you can carry with you for a long time. And without the right tools, the right help, they can really drag you down over a long period of time and cause major issues in your life. So with that, we think about how our modern society is today. When humans evolved, they were not, I don't want to say they weren't social, but they weren't large group people. As we've talked in other podcasts, I love to be in crowds. I love lots of people, but not everybody does. So when humans were evolving, they were in small groups, small villages of people. And there wasn't millions of things coming at them. Life was very simple in that set. But nowadays we're in gigantic cities. People are living in skyscrapers. People are not even touching the ground in this world. And all of that is deteriorating our mental health if we're not prepared to go forward with that. So one of the things that you need to do is be watchful of your friends, your family members, people like that might have mental health issues. Some of the signs are a lack of desire to do anything. They're tired a lot. Let's see, they're irritable, lack of motivation. They just seem lethargic a lot of times. Now, not all the time. Some people can mask this very well, but those are some signs that you're doing. And sometimes the most powerful thing that you can do to help a person that is having mental health issues is just to listen, just to lend an ear, Don't try to fix anything. Don't tell them what they need to do. Don't tell them that they're silly. Don't tell them that you're worried about nothing, those type of things, because it's not true. If it's important to them, you cannot be inside their body. You cannot understand how they're feeling. You need to take it seriously if they're having some kind of issues. But yes, listen is the biggest thing. Listen, that's one of the things that the therapists and the professionals do. They will listen, and they'll get that, before they offer any help, they'll listen fully. But that is the real strength in all of this, is not being afraid to ask for help. Because help is out there. But there's always that stigma of asking for help. We as human beings are afraid to ask for help. We're afraid for somebody to come and help us because it shows a sign of weakness. This is not weakness. This is living your best life and being as passionate and powerful as you can. And remember, mental health, improving your mental health is not always about just you're happy all the time. That's not the person that's mental health is strong. It's the person that can handle the ups and downs of life as they come, and do that with grace and smoothness, if you will. So don't think of mental health as something that goes away just after a short period of time, because it doesn't. It can come back. It can go, it can go dormant for a little while. But always, please check your mental health. So, last thing I want to do, and I want to read this because I don't want to, because if you are struggling with your mental health, or if you know somebody that is struggling with it, where they might harm themselves, commit suicide, anything like that, or put themselves in immediate danger, again, I'm reading this because I want to make sure, contact emergency services or the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline in the United States by calling or texting 988. Help is available 24/7. So please, if you know anybody in those situations, please help them out. I got off on a little somber note to start out with, but it's vitally important. And I don't think it's somber. It's just matter-of-factly that we need to take a great amount of effort in improving our mental health. A lot of people have told me I need to improve my mental health, and I'm okay with that. Mine, sometimes I'm up and down all the time too, so it's part of life. Nobody is judging you for that, not at least here on Make Peace with Life. So next topic we're going to is improving yourself. Now, I hear you guys out there, all of you out there right now, you're saying, Rob, I don't need to improve myself. I'm as good as I can be. I don't need to improve. Bull poop. I'll just say, that's my cursing, if you will. I don't curse very often. Bull poop is what I'm going to say to that. We can always improve ourselves. That doesn't mean you have to do this to be a better person or to follow the guidelines, but you need to stay on top of the things that you're working towards. Think of it like, let's just examine our medical professionals for starters, doctors, nurses, anybody that works in the medical field. They are constantly having to relearn, not relearn, but learn new things because medicine advances. Just like everything we do. How many of you have been in the same job for a while and it's not the same as when you first started? Technology has evolved. I mean, we're in some of the work that I've done, used to, it was like AI was like something you didn't want to touch. Now they're encouraging you to use AI in some situations. And it's very fascinating. The world keeps evolving, so you need to keep evolving to a little extent. I'm not saying that you have to learn everything, but whatever you're passionate about, you need to keep up a little bit on. It's good for you. So that's the question I'll ask next. When's the last time you've learned something new? And I'll tell you right now when the last time I was. About 2 hours before this podcast, I started recording this. I sat down, watched a webinar on some new interesting techniques for sharing social media, things like that, because I want to improve in that area. And that's one area that, like many others, is constantly changing, improving. Things are falling off, things are coming back. You have to stay on top of the game if you want to stay relevant in that sense. So that's the last time I learned something. So please put in the chat down below, when is the last time you learned something new and what it was? We'd love to hear it. It can be anything. Keep it clean. Obviously, always keep our stuff clean. But we want to hear what you guys did. But when you learn something new, you do more than just learn something new. You just more than just learn a skill. One thing, you keep your brain active. You keep this melon that's on your head and inside your head, you keep it moving and learning and firing and staying active, which is a very good thing for all kinds of our health in that situation. But also it gives you a boost of confidence. You learn something new. You did it. Congratulations, you did it. That's very fulfilling, and that joy, when you learn something new, it not only helps you, it helps other people around you, because that confident boost, people feel that, people sense that. So don't be afraid to learn something new and boost that confidence of you. Then the other thing with learning something new is, don't judge yourself. Don't learn something because somebody else is learning something. Oh, our neighbors learned a ballroom dance, so we should learn the ballroom dance. So we stay up with them. Don't think of it as a competition. Learning something new is not a competition. Find things that matter to you and learn those. Because comparing yourself to somebody else, it's not maybe the route you want to go or the things that you want to learn. So learn something on your own pace that you want to learn, no matter how obscure or strange it might seem to others. If you want to learn it, go learn it. And remember that sometimes when you learn something new, you fail. It's not the end of the world. If you go out and you try something, I know there's some things that I tried not long ago. What was it? It was trying to cook something new, and it tasted horrible. It tasted horrible. I don't know what I did, how I messed it up, but it tasted horrible. And that was a failure. So I went back and I looked, and sure enough, some sauce had got on the recipe that I was reading from and messed me up a little bit. I'm going to blame it on that, but it did taste terrible. It was absolutely horrible. And then the last thing you need to, not the last thing, but one of the things you need to remember is that the person teaching you, or the expert in that sense, was also once a beginner. They weren't just born learning that new skill or that item which they're an expert in. They had to grow. They had to learn from somebody else, whether they trained themselves, they learned it from a class. Nowadays, you can learn it from a YouTube video. It's great stuff. So, learn. Also helps all your body parts. We talked about the mental, the physical, the pride that comes along with learning. But the big thing with learning something new is stepping out of that comfort zone. And that's one of the best things you can do. Doesn't mean you have to do it every day, but just every once in a while, go learn something new. As I mentioned today, I was learning something new. Yes, it was out of my comfort zone a little bit. I had to really dive in. Some of the stuff I had to look up because I wasn't familiar with it, and other people were on the training, and they didn't seem to be not understanding what he was talking about, and there was a couple of spots where I did. So yes, it was uncomfortable, but I learned something. I learned something new today, and that fired up my brain, has got me thinking of other things to do, and that's powerful all in itself right there. It's learning that type of things, and keep improving yourself, because we're never fully to a level that we don't need improvement. So why not learn things new? There's nothing wrong with that. Be a student for life. Doesn't mean you have to go to college for the rest of your life. Doesn't mean you have to, go to the library and get books and everything, but you can learn little things all over. It could be gardening. It could be how to paint your house better. It could be some plumbing so you can fix some of the stuff around your house. It could be learning bike maintenance. That's one of the things that I taught myself, is how to fix my own bikes, and the brakes, and air up the tires, and keep the chain lubricated and things like that. So there's unlimited supply of things that you can learn new there and to improve yourself in that way. Okay, now we're going to go on to a more mysterious topic. We're going to talk about Ouija boards and psychic mediums. Now, Ouija board. I know all of you out there have heard of a Ouija board. It gets a bad rap. There is a lot of horror movies that give the Ouija board a bad rap for opening portals, bringing in demons, those type of things. And I don't know if they can do that. I'm not a firm believer in demons and things like that, but I have not experienced everything. So first thing I want to start off with Ouija boards and psychic mediums is I hear this a lot. They're like, these people are not real. They're fake. Ouija board's fake. Psychic mediums, they can talk to somebody that's passed on. That's fake. It's all parlor tricks. It's and all I have to say with that, I never discount anything just because I can't do it. So because I cannot speak with people that have passed or energies from past people, I don't necessarily assume that nobody can. And I'll give you another example. I can't play the piano. So does that mean everybody else that's playing the piano is faking it? So the mentality there is not the same as far as just because you can't do it, that somebody else can. So I like to eliminate that first, because I've not experienced everything. I can't experience things the way other people experience them. So, and Ouija boards, I have a colleague that I used to talk with, don't much anymore, Karen Dahlman. She was an expert on Ouija boards. She travels all around the world doing Ouija board presentations. Wonderful person, great ambassador to the Ouija board, and it's not built as a negative thing, like she's bringing in demons into this world or anything like that. So let's start with the Ouija board. A lot of people think of it as a toy. It's sold in toy stores. It's actually sold in toy stores. So if you watch the horror movies about Ouija boards and you go to the toy store and you see it in there, you're like, oh gosh, I'm not getting that for my kids. It's a spiritual tool, connecting with people that have passed, or with other energies, as I like to call them, those things. Also, it could be a portal, so maybe just allowing people to speak through that portal. Those are some of the common things that people would describe a Ouija board as. Now, the Ouija boards came into popularity in the 1800s during the spiritualist movement, as people were doing, there wasn't entertainment. There wasn't a lot of movies you could go see. You couldn't go, shows in town were far and few between. So people would find ways to entertain themselves. And the Ouija board was one of those ways that they would do it. They would have a medium or somebody come over and conduct I don't want to say a seance, but they would conduct a Ouija board thing. And it was entertainment in that sense. It was people were talking. They were excited. That was something that was different going on. And people loved it. They loved it. And it was very big back in the 1800s. So now science has come to try to say that, the Ouija board is the way it's ran. So I don't know if you know a Ouija board. Everybody puts their hands on what they call the planchet, and then it moves around the board, and it gives you spells out words, or there's a yes and a no that you can ask it questions, things like that. And science says it's involuntary muscles that are firing when you ask the question. So in their sense of what's happening, we might be communicating with ourselves. We might be tapping into some unconscious things that we want to get out into the world, or that we're needing to connect with ourselves in that sense. So that's an interesting take on the Ouija board, is that we're connecting with ourselves. So it's possible. Ouija boards are definitely interesting. Like I said, I've not played around with one much, but I have a good friend that does, and she swears by them, and she's told me some amazing stories of connection people have got. So I'm not discounting it just because I haven't experienced it, or that I haven't had the witnessing of somebody else experience it. So now with mediums, it's a little different. They claim to be able to speak to the people that have passed on, or other life forms, or anything like that. It's not something we can prove, because it's coming through them, it's coming through their head, coming through their mind, however you want to look at it. But sometimes it's very accurate. You hear people all the time talk about they know things that there's no way they could know, private things. So that raises my curiosity. Is there some way that they're tapping into that? Is there, I mean, nowadays with the internet, you can find out a lot of things if you wanted to, but are these people taking the time to go through all that and try to find out what Bonnie's cat's name was that she never told anybody, or what she called her sister in private, things like that? I don't know if that kind of stuff would be out on the internet, but mediums are, it's a gift if they are able to do that. It is a gift. I went and saw, throwing it way back there, I went and saw John Edwards one time, and it was pretty profound, the way people were acting. Now, again, I'm looking at it through my shell, so, but psychic mediums, can they talk to other spirits? I don't know. I can't say they can't, because I can't, again, we go back to my piano reference. Just because I can't play the piano doesn't mean nobody can play the piano. So think about that. And then I want to leave you with some things. And I'd love you to drop the comments below the video here and tell me what you think. Which do you believe in more, ghosts or aliens? Which would you feel is more apt to be real or in this world? Maybe it's both. Would you rather speak with a psychic or use a Ouija board? Which one would you rather use? And lastly, I would love for you, if anybody has had experiences that are just out of this world or amazing, drop those in the comments too, because I want to know. I want to know what your experiences were. So fascinating topic. As with so many of the supernatural, the spiritual things, there's no clear-cut answer that we can just lay out on the table. Maybe one of these days we will. I'm not for sure, but that's the beautiful part about it, I think, is everybody can have their own opinion. Everybody can think what they want, but nobody can disprove anybody else. Well, certain people can't say this is real, this has actually happened. Other people can't say it's not. I can prove that it's not happening. So I love those topics like that, to where there's a lot of gray area in between, where people can express their opinions and enjoy themselves. All right, next topic. I told you this was a packed show. Next topic is here soon. Me and my lovely wife, Monica, are going to go see the Dirty Heads for the third time here in Dallas, Texas. I love the Dirty Heads. She's not quite as big a fan as me, but she's coming around. She's liking some of their music. Dirty Heads are one of those bands that they're very unique. I compare the Dirty Heads a lot to groups like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Their genre of music crosses many things. They play a little reggae, they do a little rap, they do some California kind of music, but they wrap it all together, so it's not one form. So it's not all reggae, it's not all rap. They mix it all together, and it makes it uniquely their own. Now, who are the Dirty Heads? Dustin Bushnell, Jared Watson, John, and excuse me if I butcher this one, Alzabala, Matt Ocha, and David Floral. they are the Dirty Heads, the 5 members of the Dirty Heads, and I have went to. This will be their 3rd show that I'm going to. I love them. I love for everybody to check out their music. Their new album is just coming out. Probably have it by the time this airs, so I'm super excited about that. But they have an interesting background, and like so many of the great bands that I've listened to, Duddy B and Dirty J, 2 founding members of the band, knew each other way back into high school. You think of Flea and Anthony from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were just friends, and they wanted to do something, and they wanted to create something, and what an amazing feat they've done. But that combo of music really hits hard for me. I really love that combination, that especially that reggae and the rap. Those 2 combined for me are interesting. I grew up on the Beastie Boys back in high school, so the rap music was there, but I love the vibe of the reggae music. So it's very powerful, and I love the concerts. But one of their top songs of all time is "Lay Me Down." It was 10 weeks on the alternative chart, 10 weeks at the top of the alternative chart during its prime. And then obviously, a lot of you probably heard their song "Vacation." It was put out. It did fairly well, but then there was a TikTok movement that really pushed it over the edge and brought it back up, and people were putting it on TikTok all over the place, and really got them a lot of notoriety. One thing I will say about the Dirty Heads, and I know their name just sounds kind of like you don't have any idea what they're going to be playing, but their music is very uplifting. It's very upbeat. It's very beat centric, a lot of drums, a lot of bass, those type of things. But it can really, as we were talking earlier, improve your mental health. It has that vibration, that energy that can really make you happy, really make you. I don't know how many times I'll dance around the house, or I'll sing with the songs. Some of my favorite songs of theirs, I mentioned a few up there, but I love Sloth's Revenge. Believe is another great one that I love. Their new stuff, Just One of Those Days, is a great song. I just can't get enough of it. But one of the things that I love about the Dirty Heads is they really fit in with the Make Peace with Life movement that we're putting here, because they don't fit in. They never have tried to make their music fit into a certain box so that they get more plays or they get more popular or anything like that. They have been on their own path, which is what the Make Peace with Life movement is all about, is to do what you do. To be proud of yourself, be proud of what you do. And that is the show for today, my friends. That was a pretty good show as far as going there. As always, we want you to make peace with life. But before we go, we're going to fill our energy pool. We've started this a few shows back, but and for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, we metaphysically fill a pool of water with energy. Not a pool of water, but a pool full of energy. So everybody combines energy, great filling energy, wonderful energy into this pool. And then those of you that are out there that might be having some mental health issues or some just difficult times in your life are allowed to dip your hands in that metaphysical pool of energy and take what you need. And the community will help you in that sense. Although we can't be there with you personally, every one of you, in this way we can help build you up and know that you've got the strength and the energy of a lot of great people that are here at Make Peace with Life behind you 100%. So let's take about 30 seconds. And as you know, this is the hard part for me, to be quiet. So I'm going to do it this time, I promise. So 30 seconds, we're going to start now. Start filling that energy pool. Wow. Good job, people. I felt a lot of energy going in there. I felt some people pulling out. That was great. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Don't forget to go over to makepeacewithlife.com. Check it out. Get the books. Go check out our blog. There's always cool stuff up there as well as here. Get the shirts. Get the shirts. I want to have a movement of Make Peace with Life people out there wearing the shirts. I will be so excited when I walk down the street and I see somebody wearing a Make Peace with Life shirt, because that's what the movement's all about, helping people live their best life and find that happiness again. Find your happiness and what makes you happy, and we'll be happy for you. So again, I'll say it one more time, Make Peace with Life.